So I've gotten some version of this question on almost every video I've ever posted. And it's a good question. The reason I haven't answered it until now is because it's a complicated answer, so it doesn't lend itself super well to a little TikTok video. It's also a very individual answer. Am I talking to someone who's already working in some other part of the entertainment industry? Or am I talking to somebody who has questions about how you get into entertainment in general? Both are valid places to start, but with that in mind, here's my best attempt to answer it in the amount of time that I have on TikTok. So the first thing to mention is that within that umbrella of voiceover, there are so many little industries. There are the things I typically work in, like animation, video games, dubbing, audiobooks, commercials, looping, but there are a few that I don't even touch. Promos, industrials, e-learning. There isn't a blanket answer for how to get into every single one of those, but I'm gonna focus on the stuff that I do because it covers a good chunk. These are all Hollywood acting jobs because they're being made by the same people who make things that actors on camera tend to audition for. Commercials are made by advertising agencies. TV and film are made by production companies and studios. A lot of them are based here in LA. Some are based in New York. Traditionally, the way to get started in these things is to go to that place and get representation of some kind, or at least make relationships with the individual studios you might want to work for. A lot of these places have rosters, or a lot of casting directors have people that they tend to go back to and rely on and send auditions to. Big casting directors usually only interface with agencies, whereas smaller places like a non-union dubbing house, for example, might make relationships with individual actors. You have to go to them with materials like a resume, a voiceover reel, which you may or may not be familiar with what that is. It's basically a little audio clip with tons of examples of you doing the work. And say, hey, I know how to do this. I'm good at it. I think I would be a good addition to your projects. And they will start sending you auditions and giving you opportunities to try out for those projects. If you're able to sign with an agent, that means that they have this sort of house where they say, send us all the auditions, we've got great actors here, and we're going to send you back really good auditions for your projects from people that you may not know personally, but we can vouch for are very, very good. From there, you get jobs. You're never working for just one company with a salary. Every job is its own individual thing, and once it's over, and you no longer are associated with that company until they hire you for the next job. Nobody's on a roster like the studio systems back in the 30s and 40s where actors would just be assigned to MGM and they would just be in all the movies. It doesn't work that way for us. It doesn't work that way for any actors now. So that's the nuts and bolts of how you get the work. But the real thing is you have to be good enough to get the work. And that's where a lot of the problems arise for people who don't understand the process they need to go through to get that good, or assume they're already that good, but they're really not because they haven't trained. It takes so much training, not just in acting, which is first and foremost, but then in the specific best practices for doing voiceover work, which is its own thing. You need to have a strong foundational acting background. It's not good enough to just be good at a few silly voices. That will get you nowhere. But if you do have a lot of vocal skills, and you study acting, and you take voiceover specific training, and you invest the time in really learning how to be a pro behind a microphone, anybody can do this job. But it takes full investment, just like any other career. It's not a great side hustle because you'll be really disappointed with your results. You kind of get out what you put into it. I don't know if that helps anybody or just makes more questions, but if there are more questions, feel free to ask, and I'll keep on trying to answer.